everyone, and welcome to the first video of the new series, Journey of Practicing. Now, this type of practicing is new for me because I've never really practiced in front of other people. So, and since I can't play the piece yet, it's also going to be rather embarrassing for me. But the point of the whole thing is that hopefully my practicing will improve the piece and you guys can see what I do, which gets me to improve the piece. The principles of violin playing and of practicing are the same regardless on what level you're playing. Basically, you start off not being able to do something and you have to find a way of how to do it and how to practice it so that you can do it, and then securing it and integrating it into the piece. It doesn't matter whether you're playing simple pieces in the first position or whether you're playing something as complex as this. Basically, in both cases, it's difficult. So what I've been doing so far, I've spent a couple of weeks just playing the piece through to get to know it, to get an idea. I need to know where the difficulties are so that I can spend special time on those. So what I've just been doing is I've just been playing it through. I haven't actually given it any proper practicing yet. The first thing I do when I practice is I take myself a section and I play it trying to concentrate on the correct rhythm. This is going to be nowhere near up to speed. I just want the relationship of the notes to be correct. So basically, I want the rhythm to be correct at a slow speed. It will be not that slow that one can't recognize it. So basically, it will sound pretty crappy because I need to concentrate on the rhythm so that my muscles know when to move. And that means that sound and intonation are just not going to work out. So maybe turn the volume down because I'm just going to have a go at this. Looks like I've got plenty of work to do. So that was more or less the correct rhythm and more or less nothing else was there. Certainly no musical expression. Intonation was basically non-existent and nothing sounded. So now what I'm going to do, this is basically the first section of the piece, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to work through that bit by bit. The first thing I do now after what I just did is something which is slow for intonation and sound so that my poor ears get a break, and yours too. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to concentrate on the beginning. Okay, now that was more or less okay, but it didn't really sound and the short notes weren't really there. It was a bit messy. So this is the shift. Times because my first finger needs to know where the B is, and unless that's secure, there's not much point in going on. That's better. So now I'll take it apart. Intonation and sound, disregarding rhythm and disregarding bowing. Has to sound, and I need to show my hand how far away that fourth finger E is from the C. Now here we have fourth finger, first finger frame, and so basically I play that as a double stop. That basically secures my hand and that secures the intonation. That D sharp is a bit nasty because I basically come after 2 open strings, so I have no fingers on the strings. So basically I have to more or less blindly hit it. There's no relation that the 3rd finger for the D sharp can have to any other fingers. That's what's nasty when you're coming from open strings. So now I have a chord. That helps a lot because then you get a feel for the harmonies and for the chordal progression, and basically also for the string crossings. It helps a lot to do them in double stops. Those of you who know my videos hear me say that nearly every time. So let's see how this has helped. Yeah, D sharp was a bit too sharp. I had to correct it. What I do when I play the 2 open strings, I have to put my hand into 1st position and hope that my 3rd finger knows where D sharp 1st position is. Go into 1st position and hope. That was better. Now, that was intonation sound. Now let's see if I can put that bit together, basically with the correct rhythm. Now if I want those small notes, those short notes to sound, they need a lot more bow in relationship to the others. So bow division is what I'm doing now. That was better, but it was a little bit cramped. I should actually leave even more bow for the short notes. Felt better but didn't sound better. Important also to remember, the music is going to the D sharp. Everything else is just preparation for that. Damn E string. Yeah, the whistling E strings. Yeah, what do you do about whistling E strings? I don't really know. It's a strange mystery. What seems to help is to make sure that the note before the open E string has a good resonance. So you have... Sometimes it seems to help me to take the string crossing very narrowly, and sometimes it seems to help me to do the opposite, to do the string crossings large. So basically what one does is one experiments with it. The whistling tends to be less frequent the better I play a piece. So I guess, as usual, practicing is the answer. Nearly. Okay, I'll go on to the next one now, because my biggest problem with practicing actually is that I'm never satisfied. So I could spend 3 hours just practicing that, but that doesn't help me because the piece is long and this is nowhere near the most difficult thing to do. So it's important to find a good time when to go on. Usually if anything at all has improved, even if it's just my feeling with what I'm doing, if anything at all has improved, then I move on, because I'll get back to that again when I get through the piece. Now the next one, same sort of thing, we just have more notes. I practice that in the same way. I got into the wrong one there because I'm doing half of this by memory and I haven't it memorized yet. Let's see what's written in the music. Yeah, that sounds right. Same thing, practicing it with sound, intonation. As Lisa, I don't have that D sharp to worry about here. The F sharp is fairly easy to reach. Next one. It's a couple more notes. Important, use open strings whenever I can so that I have some sort of a relationship for my intonation. That's nasty. Not quite in tune. Let's do that again. I often wonder why a simple octave with an open string is so difficult after so many years of violin playing, but violin playing is difficult. Let's do this again. Not quite yet, but let's see how it sounds if I put it together. I need to add a lot more weight to the small notes so that they come clear, because that's more notes. And I can't use very much less bow for what comes before, because otherwise that won't sound. So what I do there is I do it with weight. Now I've only got half a bow for this. Important to add a bit of weight there so that that sounds. Now the next one, I start up here. And my biggest problem so far is just hitting this G on the G string. So what I do when I practice this section is I start a few notes earlier. I hope I've hit it. It was a bit sharp. I have 3 notes in half tones now, and as you could hear, that wasn't in tune, so I have no helpful open strings here, so I just have to hear it. So it's important that not one of the half tones are smaller than the others. You kind of, that's not in tune, so I do that a couple of times also to get my ear used to what it's supposed to sound like. This is an A, and I can actually see my A string resonating when I hit it in tune. I can see the A string vibrating. I don't think I can show you. You might be able to see it a little bit, but you can certainly see it when you're playing the violin. Now the difficulty of that section is that it's right before one of the most difficult bits in the piece. So what I always do is I just continue a couple of notes so that it just gets played more often. So what I do is I start a few notes earlier to practice a shift hitting the G. It's actually not a shift technically, it's a jump, because a shift means that one finger has contact with the string all the time. And it doesn't happen here when I... That's third finger, and the third finger has to go onto the G string now and hit this note. So it's not a shift, it's a jump. That's what makes it difficult, because jumps are very, very hard to hit, because even just the tiniest millimeter off is almost a different note, certainly out of tune. So hitting that exactly is not easy. That will come with time, I just have to do it often. That's why I start here. Now I'm in a high position and I have very important, practicing the string crossings as double stops so that my hand gets stable, so that the intonation is stable, and so that it sounds. That has to be in tune. Takes patience. Now what comes now is very difficult to get to sound because you're in such a high position. So that's basically the section that I do, because I can't stop right before a difficult bit. First of all, I'm practicing stopping there, which is the last thing I want. And also, it just means that you can't really take it apart. You can take it apart to a certain extent, which I will have to do. I will just have to practice. I'll have to start there often and just practice that. But for the time being, I just basically hang it onto the end of the section before that I'm practicing, so that it starts to feel natural to go on into that very difficult bit. So we have... That wasn't quite in tune, but I'm going to go on anyway because the next bit is harder. Damn that fifth. Now the big question is always when to move on. Basically, I need to do this quite a lot still because there's nothing secure about it. But because that will take too much time, what I will do is I'll do exactly that bit a couple more times, trying to concentrate on getting the shifts right and having the intonation right, not worrying so much about the correct rhythm or even the correct bowings, just so that there's some sort of an intonation there, and also so that my ear gets used to hearing, especially that chromatic part is hard to hear. So we do this again. Now what I do is I do this very slowly, trying to make it sound as good as possible, concentrating on the intonation. Okay, this is going to take a while. Important that this one sounds. Okay, I can tell you honestly, I do feel that this is getting me somewhere, but it's so slow that I can't really say that it feels any better than it did 10 minutes ago. I also don't think it sounds any better, nor is the intonation more secure. So this needs a lot more practice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this session a day for now, because I've got to go on and practice other things and work at other things, and I have a pupil coming later on which needs my attention and also my concentration. So this is going to be it for now, but in the next practicing video I'm going to continue exactly with this same bit. I'm not going to move on yet. This needs more. It just needs more work. Okay, I wonder how you guys like it. I wonder if this is dead boring for you, or whether you can actually learn something from this. And I also wonder whether I'll ever be able to play this piece. It's difficult. It's also difficult because it's solo. I don't have a piano which I can hide behind in some parts. Here everything has to sound. It has to sound big, which means the intonation has to be perfect so that the open strings resonate. So God alone knows when I'm going to be able to do this. But see you next time. Bye.